The church can be described a couple different ways, even when you're talking about the body of Christ, as we've looked this week. You can be talking about the church, often called the universal church, sometimes called the invisible church, because it's only the believers, and you can't always really tell who they are among the wheat and the chaff. But there's the universal church, which is every single believer on the planet who, whether they're worshiping in the Congo, or they're worshiping in Brazil, or they're worshiping in Greenville, or they're worshiping at another church in Greenville, there is the body of Christ, the church, that's thought of that way. Then you also get the individual churches that are discussed. You see that in the letter to the 7 churches in the book of Revelation, that it's speaking to 7 different churches that are being acknowledged there. And I think we see a little bit of that interplay here. Because sometimes what happens is you get some people who emphasize the universal church to the neglect of a local assembly. So that what they do is they talk about their commitment to the church, and that just means any other believer that they interact with, anybody they rub shoulders with, the fact that they are in the church itself by being a believer. And they neglect a responsibility, a relationship with a specific local group of people. And you get some people that react against that, and they do the exact opposite. They spend so much time focusing on a local church, the local assembly, their church, that they neglect to think about the fact that there is a bigger church than what they see. There are more to the body of Christ than just their collection of people. And I think we see that interaction here. Paul speaks to them and is thankful for the gift that the Philippian church has given to him, because it is, in essence, them sharing with his affliction. They're participating in the gospel with him, which he's already said very much at the beginning of Philippians, that he thanks God every time he thinks of them because of their participation in the gospel. They've been giving to Paul as he did his ministry. He leaves Macedonia, and then he says this that helps us see that there's just individual churches that are being referred to as well. He says, when I left Macedonia, no church except yours shared with me in the matter of giving or receiving. He's saying, I want to make sure you realize that your specific church was really the only one that was participating in this process with me. He then says to them that what was that participation? Why did it matter so much? Well, he's not thankful just for the fact that he's received things that are helpful to him. He's thankful for the fact that they will receive the reward for their giving. Now, what would create such a reward? 1 Corinthians 3 tells us that their gift had eternal significance to it. When it passes through the fire, it will survive it because it was given toward gospel ministry, given toward Paul's mission work around the gospel, and therefore it has a lasting effect, and they can expect a reward to come from it. So he says, I've received, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for your participation in it. And what we see here is the church of Philippi gets the picture as well. They are the church of Philippi. That does not mean they are the same as the church in Thessalonica or the churches in any other part of the region. Just the same as in the book of Revelation, it is not the church of Laodicea is the same as the church of Smyrna, which is the same as the church of Pergamum. Those are 7 different churches. And yet the church in Philippi gets something. They are part of a bigger picture than that. There is the body of Christ that is spread out, and so they participate in the ministry for that. We also see this very early in the book of Acts, that people were giving to the Jerusalem church as they had need, and they were responding to that. And so there was this understanding of a relationship. And so somebody asks you the question, well, what is the church? Is it just your collective local assembly, or is it the greater picture of all believers? Your answer should be yes. It's both. And so God desires us to remember that there is a universal church. There are believers all over the world. There are brothers and sisters who are enduring trials and hardships we don't face here in America. We should be lifting them up in prayer. We should be supporting them. We should be sending them resources. We should be encouraging them with the word. We should be lifting them up. But at the same time, we shouldn't fall into a trap of going, oh, well, we're part of this bigger picture of things that we can't even really see, and we can't even really know what that is. And so we kind of just claim membership into the universal body and put our focus there, not thinking about the local body. God's desire was the church of Philippi together as a local assembly was ministering to the larger body, the universal body. And so it's great to have a commitment to the universal church to see the picture beyond just Ohio, just Greenville, just the Grace Brethren Fellowship, to acknowledge our brothers and sisters in the region and beyond. But it's also important to realize that God's desire for how we can minister and support and encourage those is through the local assembly here at Greenville Grace.